Yeah, here we go. We got this nationwide anti-Trump protests are planned for the 19th. The April 5th hands-off protest, blah, blah, blah. They're doing an all 50 state anti-Trump protest. You know, whatever, man.
That's how I felt. I was like, I'm not even mad. I just kind of feel sorry for you.
Well, we were talking just a moment ago about how Gen Z is listless. But the funny thing is, most of these protests are boomers.
Oh, no, I saw like old ladies with purple hair.
Yeah, it's all boomers.
That's what it was.
Trump stuff is, yeah.
It's all old people.
The Palestine stuff are young.
Younger, right.
In fact,
that's weird.
When I approached one group in Charlestown, I noticed that most of them were kind of gray-haired old ladies. And she was saying to me, oh, I'm so glad you showed up. Like, we need young people, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, honestly, I think you're kind of out of touch. And I'm looking behind you, and there are all of these, no offense, but you're all older. And I completely disagree with everything you're saying.
That should tell you something.
And they believe that young people are on their side, too, even though the young people aren't showing up.
That should tell you something, though. The young people who are out doing the anti-Israel stuff, they're leftists. The old people are Democrats, right? They're against Trump, but the younger people are leftists. I did a lot of work like inside these anti-Israel protest encampments, and the second most common symbol inside of all of them, I went to Berkeley, Irvine, UCLA, Georgia, and I think those are all the encampments I went to. The most common symbol on the inside of these encampments is the hammer and sickle, other than the Palestinian flag. That's the most common, second most common sickle.
How long until we start seeing people on the right join them?
That's a great question. Probably, I think it's probably already happening.
Yeah.
Under the hammer and sickle, you think?
No, well, I mean, the interesting thing is the anti-Israel sentiment we're starting to see from a lot of prominent personalities. So at what point do members of their audience say, I'm going to go out and actually join these protests?
I think that anti-Israel sentiment has bled into like sympathy for the left, actually. Like maybe not sympathy, but a lot of right-wingers who have started being anti-Israel have become, have adopted sort of like leftist tendencies, I think. They start to steer their audience in the direction of leftism.
Yeah, I mean, you do get a lot of the same kind of...
Don't worry, I got you guys. Here you go. The real horseshoe theory.
I hate lumping these guys in with the right, though, because they're not actually right-wing, right?
Yeah, and what is this? This is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is funny, though. The real...
When you say sympathy for the left, like which issues then?
Well, here's a great example. Candace Owens, on her podcast, she debated, I forget who it was, but they were talking about East Jerusalem. They're talking about the difference between the Muslim, Arab, Jewish, and why am I blanking? Armenian quarters. 4 quarters of the old city of East Jerusalem. And she was basically like, I was there with the rabbi who took me around, and the signs say, no, Arabs can't leave, they have to live here. Like, the Muslims have to live in the Muslim quarter, which is not true. I've been to Jerusalem. There is no division between the quarters. There are Muslims wearing hijab in the Jewish quarter. There are Jews wearing kippah in the Muslim quarter. There's no division. There's Muslim-owned businesses in the Jewish quarter, and they sell kosher here and non-kosher here, and the Jews buy it. So no division. She was corrected on that by whoever she was debating and basically told that she was lying. She continued to parrot that talking point afterwards. But what she appealed to is, and by the way, this is the woman who built her career on, the whole Blexit, racism isn't real, don't let people convince you you're a victim. Well, I just see that and I think of the Jim Crow South, and my grandparents built up in that. It's like, that's not necessarily a left or right issue, because left and right is an economic axis, not a social one.
That's not true.
What do you think? What do you
left? So I hate to interrupt you, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but
no, totally.
Left and right refers to the cultural tribes. There's left economics and right economics, but typically in this country, when they say left and right, it incorporates the components of the umbrella factions.
Yes.
So race economics could apply to each other. When you say right, the reason it doesn't make sense is the authoritarian right is not free market. But the libertarian right is.
I actually tend to believe that there's no such thing as a libertarian left, and I think that so when you look at the actual axis of authoritarian, libertarian, right and left, and we probably won't get anywhere with this conversation, but generally in the past at least, and I agree with you when we talk about right and left in the United States, we're referring to
tribes.
Yes. But traditionally, right and left is an economic axis. The further left you go, the closer to communism are. The further right you go, the closer to anarcho-capitalism.
I got to correct you on that one.
What's that?
The left and right axis refers to the monarchy versus the revolution in France.
Originally, yes.
So it wasn't necessarily economic. It was power structured based. And so left and right has typically referred to the factions in opposition, status quo, traditionalism versus progressivism. The reason why it was associated with economics for a while is because the only real divisions we had were economic. We largely agreed on cultural issues. I would say there is a libertarian left, and it's like hippies living on a farm. You never hear from them. Yet 20 hippies on a farm sharing watermelon with each other, nobody cares about. That's libertarian left. It's the problem was when they start amassing into large numbers and then start demanding you join the commune, which you don't want to do, then they become tankies.
Sure.
But, the axis never really made sense left and right economically because the authoritarian far right has nothing to do with free markets.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And also, conversely, the libertarian left, you cannot have communism or socialism, whatever you want to call it, because depending on what parts of Marx you've read, you can't have socialism and libertarianism. You can't have free markets or I guess liberalism in socialism, because in order to uphold a socialist system, you need authority to prevent capitalists from going in the woods and starting markets in your country. You need an authority structure. You need a government to prevent all of these things they don't want. They want to abolish money. How are you going to abolish money if you don't have a government? You need somebody to enforce the abolition of money.
Yeah, otherwise people will just keep trading.
Exactly.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.